Bodymind Center. About that. And for 31 years, I've been helping people take care of themselves and feel better and do all sorts of things. So I teach yoga, I teach Pilates, I teach meditation, I lead retreats. And what has fascinated me since 2017 is the vagal nervous system. So how many people have heard of the vagal nervous system? Okay, pretty well everybody. That's awesome. So a lot of the times, and now on your reels and everything, people talk about the vagal nerve, right? So that's a picture here of the vagal nerve. There's really two of them. They start at your brainstem, they go along each side of your neck, and then they kind of weave through your body. They take care of your organs and your endocrine system. And lots of times we talk about the vagal nerve as being, I just heard Brenda mentioning as she's explaining, which is normally how it's explained, that your vagal nerve is what's going to calm you down. Is that what everybody kind of feels? It's only half the story. So what the vagal nerve does actually is it controls both the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So it isn't just the parasympathetic, like the stuff that helps us to calm down and relax and feel good. It also controls the sympathetic system, where we get charged up and maybe sometimes we need to run or fight or yell or do whatever those things are, right? So the vagal system, whenever I talk about it or work with it or teach about it, I call it the system, not the nerve, because it's way more than just the nerve. Just like we're way more than any body part that might be hurting right now. And in regular medicine, we do things like get our shoulder fixed, or I need my knee fixed, or this part or that part, right? And the heart, the cardiologists don't talk to the lung specialists, but the heart and the lungs work together completely, right? So instead of seeing the parts model, when we talk about the vagal system, it's more about all of you and all aspects of you. And then the other piece is the vagal system, it actually is paying attention to everything. Now, how many people know about your bioelectromagnetic field? Anybody know about that? A couple of hands go up. I got a picture of that, so I'm gonna see if we can just forward this. So this is Alex Gray's work. He does really incredible paintings. But see all around this body, see how there's energy, right? And so the interesting part about the vagal system is it's actually listening through your bioelectromagnetic field. Everybody has one. The more alive you are, the bigger your field is. And when we're really tired, depleted, exhausted, or on our way out, your field diminishes tremendously, right? And then you expire. So when we do things like Tai Chi and Qigong, when we go into nature, when we eat healthy food, better food, it expands and strengthens our field. So in that earlier picture, and the ones you have right here, I pulled that up because I like, plenty of pictures. So we have all sorts of vagal nerves in our gut. And they're not just hanging out there on their own. They're part of something called the enteric system. Have you guys heard that word yet? So when we grow up, we learn about certain organs like the heart and the lungs and the liver and the spleen. But there's other organs that we don't even talk about. So the enteric system, it's considered an organ. It's your intestines, but it's all the fascia that holds them together. It's all innervated with these vagal nerves. It has blood vessels, and it also has neurons. Do you guys know about that? That the gut has actual neurons. Did you know that, Helen?
The gut, the brain.
Yeah.
And the heart too.
The gut? Yeah. So we grow up knowing that the brain has neurons, right? And we really value the brain, that it must be the smartest thing because it has all these neurons. The gut has as many neurons as the brain. And that's even hard to get your mind around, right? And then you mentioned the heart. So the heart, the gut neurons are throughout the whole gut. And of course the neurons are the whole brain. But in the heart, we have heart cells. But inside of the whole heart, there's a little island. And that little island is neurons. Isn't that neat? So in Buddhism, we talk about heart mind. That's the symbol for enlightened mind. And so they used to say that when you're coming from your heart, like that's your place of wisdom, right? Now it turns out the heart has its own little brain. It's a thinking system. Now the really neat thing about the heart brain is it's independent of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. It's an independent thinker. But our brain can be hijacked, and our gut certainly can be hijacked. But the little brain in the heart, it can't be. So when we spend time breathing, relaxing, we can tune more into that wisdom. And that's really what all spiritual practices ultimately are about, right? Tuning in. So it doesn't really matter which practice we say we do or what we belong to. When it comes right down to it, we're all human beings. And human means, like, hue is light, right? And beings, the beingness of ourselves. So light beings, that's what we are. And this is kind of what we look like if you are using extrasensory perception. So the vagal system, its main job is keeping us alive. And in our culture, survival mode is kind of like standard. How much did you get done? Did you jump through these hoops? You know, we use scare tactics in order to encourage people. Like either you're going to fail the test, you'll fail school, you're going to get kicked out of whatever, you're going to lose your job. We use pressure and fear in order to manage everybody. It isn't just that, it's how we frame God. God is some person up in the sky, if you do wrong, you know, something bad's going to happen. And we start with Santa Claus, right? We teach the kids, naughty or nice, good or bad. And what those kinds of frameworks do is they contract people. And when we're kind of contracted, we have pain. And when we learn how to expand, the very same pain disappears. So the vagal system, its first job is to keep us alive. So if we're here right now and we're alive, our whole system says that's good enough. It's good enough. So then you're saying, well, I think I might want this improvement in my life. And you set some intentions, and maybe you can have a coach. But we have this part in our brain called the default network mode. Do you guys know about that? So it's the main patterns that got put in there before the age of 7. Then they got reinforced by everything that happened in life. And we actually run on that program, whether we realize it or not. So when we try to change from that program, we actually always get pulled back. Has anyone ever felt that? Like, yeah, that's a great intention, you're gonna do ABCD, and then you try it for a little while, but then you just get pulled back to whatever you normally do. So if you want to change the program, you can only do it 1 degree at a time. Like if you have a sincere desire to change, it's one tiny little degree at a time. So you just change one tiny little bit, and then go into that trajectory, which over time is exponential, right? And then as you ground that in, a new pattern emerges, and then you take it another degree. So it's like they say baby steps, right? Or the turtle in our stories always sort of wins in the end. It's kind of like that. So before COVID, when they tested us about stress levels in society, most people, when we check the blood, check the adrenaline, check the cortisol, check inflammation, we were about an 8 out of 10 on the stress scale. And then we all went through what we went through, which was nothing humankind's ever been through before. And they didn't even test us for our stress at that point. But we know different numbers of different things that happened. So here we are, kind of after all of that. And what I feel my mission is to help people in very simple ways scale down whatever stress levels they may be in, realizing that everybody has usually a fair amount. And because, say it's been that way for a really long time, your default mode, the pattern that's in your brain, thinks everything's okay. Because it's good enough, right? I'm alive. I may or may not be breathing, my blood pressure might be high, my blood sugar might be off, my hormones might be all over the place, but I'm fine. You know what I mean? Talk to just about anybody and something's going on, usually, right? So what I want to share with you tonight is some super simple things that will take you, say, does anybody ever feel like they're an 8 or 9 out of 10 on the stress scale? Yeah, does anybody ever feel like you're a 12 out of 10 on the stress scale? Right? That's the honesty of it, really. Most people probably during and post-COVID were probably 25 out of 10. Yeah. So that's a lot of adrenaline. Now we have like all sorts of things going on, but lots of people are having a lot of autoimmune stuff going on and mast cell production, right? That's the body's last ditch effort when it's in survival mode, if you know anyone who has mast cell stuff going on. And there's lots of things you can do about it, so that's really good too. It doesn't just have to be meds. So the first thing we're gonna do, believe it or not, is we're gonna get up out of the chairs. And I'll give you your paper back. So, anybody ever go hunting here, know about hunting? Hunters here? So, you guys probably know that if you chase a deer, or a wolf chases a deer, or you're after the deer, and it gets away, and you see it, it'll shake. Has anyone ever seen that phenomenon? An animal will shake after it gets away. What it's doing is shaking off the adrenaline, and after it has a good shake, 10-15 minutes of shake, it walks away like nothing happened.
Wow.
Yeah, it got rid of its, what we would label as trauma, because that's pretty traumatic, being chased or bullets going by you. But us, if something happens, we usually try to soothe people immediately, right? That seems like a nice thing to do. You give the child some candy, you give somebody a hug, you put a blanket on them or whatever, and they never necessarily went through the shake response. Has anyone ever been scared and you shake? Or something just happened, like a little fender bender, and you're like shaking even though physically you're okay? So realize, in everything I'm going to share with you moving forward, next time your body feels like shaking, shake it. So if you actually shake, give yourself a really good shake. Your body's going to want to shake anyways, but you give it a really good shake, you're letting all the adrenaline go that just rushed through your body from whatever just happened, and then no kidding, you can walk away like nothing happened. Isn't it something? Like how many people have been in a fender bender and even weeks later you're still kind of shooken up by it, right? Or whatever, bad conversation, a bad meeting, or whatever, right? So that's where we're gonna start first. You just shake. I know, that's simple. You don't have to kick like a deer, but you know. And the idea is you actually shake as much as you can. So you shake your bum, and shake your spine, and give your head a shake. We even have it in our sayings, right? Give your head a shake. And see if you can get everything shaking, right? Like get it all shaking at once. Yeah. And it's okay. And it's good to be silly. You know, when we're young, we love to shake. Do you guys like shaking? You know, when you never shake? Yeah. But little kids naturally want to jump, hop, skip, dance. Do you guys remember when we were little? When we were 5, when we were 6? I was dancing all the time, right? We're shaking, we're skipping rope, we're like doing hopscotch all the way to school. So all of that relieves stress. And then what happens when we go to school and we start sitting in chairs? What do they tell us?
Sit still.
Right? Sit still. What did you? And they, like, not to totally gender things, but they notice for little boys, it's actually really, really wrong for their nervous systems to sit still. They should not be encouraged to sit still. Not that girls should be, but they notice boys need to get up. They need to do things. They need to climb and all of that.
Being a school bus driver, I recognize that.
Right? So imagine if you got everybody to have a good shake before they got on the bus. And you tell them shake, whatever you want to call it, shake the bed bugs out or shake something out, shake up the ants in your pants, and let them have a good shake, and then they get on the bus. So in China, they got it kind of all figured out. The kids do their exercises out in the courtyard. They all do a whole bunch of exercises, and then they go into the class and they can sit down because they got rid of all their static electricity. So if you're feeling antsy at work, find a way to shake. You can go to the bathroom, you can just shake it off. Realize that's a normal, natural response to get rid of stress. So that's pretty easy, eh? Okay, now have a seat. Isn't it nice? And let other people shake. So the other one that we get programmed with for yawning, and I got it in school, I got in trouble for yawning. We say, oh, well, you're being rude by yawning, right? Like you must think that I'm super boring or something. And that's what my teacher said. He was like, Miss May, do you find me boring? And actually it was a summer afternoon. School was going to be done in like a week. The sun was coming through the window. We could see the yard, and the beam was coming through. And he was sitting there talking, and I had this biggest yawn ever, right? And I got in trouble for it. So usually people stifle their yawns, put their hand over their mouth and things like that. But really, what a yawn is, if you have a cat or a dog or a horse or a giraffe, the yawns are really big. It stretches your jaw open, and we have special nerves here, trigeminal nerve, auditory nerves, and And if we're not yawning, we have TMJ. We're meant to yawn many times per day. And when you yawn, it's the signal for your nervous system that it's actually going down into relaxation mode. So if you're not yawning at all, you're in that high sympathetic. But if suddenly you start to yawn, we know that if you have 4 or 5 yawns, you're going really low. So it doesn't mean necessarily that you are sleepy, but we do yawn at bedtime because the body's getting ready to go to sleep. So if you're kind of running around on the house, doing things in the house and you're on screens, your pineal isn't getting any messages about time to unwind. So then you just lay down and you're like, whoa, I'm still going, right? So I'm going to show you a few things to unwind before bed too. So now, how many people have neck pain? Like ever? Your neck bothers you, it's stiff. You guys all good? No neck pain?
A little stiff.
Usually it's like 100% of people go, oh yeah, that's me. So usually it's stiff. I just heard that. Were you saying that, Helen? So here's the thing. The neck actually doesn't get tight unless something is bothering you.
It's a pain in the neck.
Well, yeah, someone could be a pain in the neck. It could be anticipatory stress. You got a doctor's appointment in 3 days, or you're waiting for results and it's already been a month. You know, it can be all sorts of things, right, that aren't actually danger in the moment, but perceived danger in the future. So how many people have woken up at least once in your life where your neck was stiff and you're like, wow, I slept funny? Anybody? Yeah. So you didn't actually sleep funny. You didn't sleep funny. It was like later that day you had stuff you had to do. Maybe you didn't have something done. Maybe someone was supposed to follow through with you and they didn't show up. Right? And that will be that. So what happens, how the vagal system works, is if we think there's danger, the vagal nerves that are very surface here, they signal these muscles here to put your head on straight. Because to deal with danger, your head needs to be on straight. You can't be looking at the clouds if the wolf's here and you're the deer, you know what I mean? So this all tightens up. So this is only a signal of danger. If lots is going on, the shoulders go up to protect the neck. It's like a firewall. Has anyone ever felt like this some days? And you're like even in spasms sometimes? So realize you're having a vagal response of danger. Because really the bigger picture is stopping to say, hey, what's bothering me right now? Usually want to fix something like get a massage, take a pill, whatever. But actually, if we stop and say, okay, something's obviously bothering me because my shoulders are stuck in my ears, right? Then we can start to have a look at what the environment is, because as I said, your field and your vagal system is listening through the field to absolutely everything. All the sounds, other people's fields, animals feel each other's fields. It's like we're all interconnected in a big way. So here's what we're gonna do. Put your feet on the ground, just because that helps you feel more grounded. Sit any way you like. You might sit up on your chair. That's useful. And we're going to go release. I'm going to show you a super simple thing to release your neck. So next time you wake up and your neck's like, oh, I must have slept funny, you'll just do this and erase it. Yeah, just erase it. So you just sit there. Hands can be on your thighs if that feels good. You're going to turn your head from side to side just to check your range. How far left does it go right now? How far right does it go? Just noticing. Usually the right side's tighter than the left. Anybody notice that? Anybody have a left side that's tighter than the right? Isn't that interesting? That's rare, but you guys are all sort of in the same zone. Okay, so you have left, tighter left?
Left-handed also.
Yeah, okay.
So why is the right side usually tighter?
Well, you know, it could be handedness, like if you use your right arm more for things. But here's the other little side to it all. Things that have to do with the feminine or the female in our lives are on the left side. And the guys and work and things, it's all on the right side. It's just a thing when we map bodies. So sometimes we might have pain in the right glute or the right SI joint. We might, as we're mapping out, hey, what could this be about? This could be some guy in my life. You know, it could be my dad or my brother or my boyfriend or whatever, or my boss or whomever, or the neighbor. But a right SI joint is a relationship situation with a guy. And the left SI joint is a female. Steve Fonzo's totally all about that too, right? It isn't just me. This is called body mapping, lots of body workers. And it's generalized Louise Hay got it going with all those affirmations for the different body parts. But when you watch, we have sayings too, like responsibility in our shoulders, right? The weight of the world on our back, the pain in my butt. We say these things because there's deep-seated anger, right? It's in the piriformis. So if your piriformis is tight, the masseter is tight, you're grinding your teeth while you're sleeping. So you can get a night guard from your dentist, but if you're not addressing the anger you have because you're frustrated about something in your relationship, you can break your night guard because you think it's your jaw. There's absolutely zero reason that your jaw would be tight for any jaw reason. No one has a tight jaw. You have something going on in your life that isn't okay with you. It's a big deal to start to realize these things, right? And people say, oh, well, I was in a car accident, this happened. Yeah, that's true. But the body really is meant to heal in a 6-week period. It's really meant to heal. Everybody's body. So why aren't they healing? Because if you're in survival mode, the energy goes into keeping you alive. We have to actually go from these high beta brainwave states that are really chaotic into something relaxed, alpha, you're doing some art, you're breathing, maybe doing some yoga. Then you get into theta state, maybe that's your shavasana in yoga or a deep meditation. You have to get into the theta state for your body to say, oh, I'm safe now. And because I'm safe now, I'm going to put my energy into repair. You have to be in theta. But most people live in beta and visit alpha. They visit alpha, doing some yoga, doing some art, crocheting, quilting, painting, singing, playing your instrument. You'll go into alpha, right? How do you get into theta? I'm going to show you guys today. So here's the really, really super cool thing. Joe Dispenza, how many people are Joe Dispenza? People are know about him. So look him up on YouTube, it's all really amazing stuff. So if you can hang out in theta, where you kind of know your way in theta, in moments where just things line up, because this kind of grace comes in to help you with this, but you can bump from theta right up into gamma brainwave states, which is really fast brainwave states. It's just like on a chart. You're seeing the light when that's happening, and people go into spontaneous remission from anything. It doesn't matter if it's cancer, brain tumor, MS, Parkinson's, it doesn't matter what it is. Isn't that something if you can go into gamma? So Dr. Joe Dispenza is mapping this. He's mapping thousands of people. He's doing all the research. He's having independent universities look at his work so he can bring this. He is a doctor, but he's going to bring it to the medical community. Like, wow, why don't we sit down and help people heal instead of giving food trucks or surgeries? No, medications and surgeries have their place and they save lives, but for the majority of it, not so much. Right? Okay, so let's get back to the next thing. So we just turned our heads. Now what we're going to do is go grab an ear.
An ear?
Yeah, either ear, you know, two. Like we're going to do our own, right? So an ear. So if you turn your head slightly to the side, that already tells your system you're not in danger. If your head's centered, it's paying extra attention. Are we in danger? Is there a wolf? I don't know. Turn it to the side, no problem. Start rubbing your ear. Now, if you have a chattery mind, which is 99.9% of people, stick your tongue between your teeth and let your teeth rest on your tongue. What that does is it stops the chattering mind because every thought you think, your tongue moves with the words. Did you know that?
No.
Every thought you think, your tongue is moving. That's part of the inner neck tension. And we're going blah, blah, blah in our heads. So when you stick your tongue between your teeth, and the more you stick it out, the better it works. It's fine, it's silly. But it stops the chatter. So you're still going to have your internal awareness. Now, rub your ear. We didn't quite stop yet. So you rub the little ear, we're going down the outer edge. And in reflexology, the outer edge of your ear is your spine and the muscles of your back. So if you have any spine tension, back tension, you want to rub your ear. Only one at a time though, just one ear. Just one ear, because we're going to check it out, right? So then you rub down to your earlobe, and your earlobe connects with your heart in reflexology. In Chinese medicine, if you have a crease in your earlobe, it's considered a symptom of something going on with your heart. And now, the American Medical Association accepts that as a diagnostic, crease in the ear. Isn't that interesting? So when we rub the ear, it's sedating, calms us down. Then we're going to hold the ear, give it a little squeeze, and pull it down towards your head. So now we're pulling it down, and we're breathing. Tongue still between the teeth. What we're waiting for, may or may not happen, but we're just kind of waiting casually for a yawn. And when you yawn, that's when we know you're shifting gears down into this relaxation zone. And we're kind of allowing ourselves to just kind of coast down into that phase state. So we're pulling on the ear, it's stretching the fascia of your jaw, it's going to help TMJ, it's going to erase the bite, the clench. It helps to open up the eustachian tube too, so it drains sinuses and things better, drains the ears better, less ear infections and earaches. And then at some point, you might yawn, or your eyes might water, your mouth might salivate. The vagal system controls all the water in our body, so dry eyes is not actually a thing. You might have dry eyes, but it means your vagal system's telling you that you're stressed. So you can do this, and your eyes will water, and you won't need the drops. Isn't that interesting? I know. Okay, now we're going to release that ear. Turn your head to that side that we just pulled the ear on, and notice if your head turns further, or if your neck feels softer. Whoa. And then turn the other side that we haven't done yet, and can you feel the held tension in those neck muscles? That's what you're walking around with all the time. And then turn it to the side we just did. Woo! Freer, lighter, more spacious, right? Can you feel that in the muscles? Isn't that neat? Right? So that was the example that if we do something that the vagal system feels is very safe and good, then it'll let go of its stronghold that it thinks it needs to do to keep you safe. Huh? I know, now we're gonna do the other ear. So start off at the top. You can rub the whole ear. The outside is the most important part for this thing. And you just give it your rub. And sometimes you can feel the cartilage warming up. That's all good too. So I always look at the research as well. So they gave this to nurses in ER to pull down on both earlobes for 20 seconds, multiple times during a shift. And what they did was a blood test before to measure cortisol levels, a blood test after their 12-hour shift, and their cortisol levels went down 40%, despite being in an ER situation that whole time. Normally, nurses, their cortisol levels and adrenaline goes up, and then when they're done their shift, a lot will report to me they need a couple glasses of wine to calm down enough to go to sleep, right? All you gotta do is pull your ears. This is good for your liver. The wine's not so good for your liver, right? So once you give the earlobe a good rub, pull it down. Tongue is between the teeth. Well, the tongue's between the teeth this time as you're breathing. Just notice, is your mind super busy or not so busy when the tongue's between the teeth? So another practical way, say you're driving somewhere, washing the dishes, or you're making dinner and your mind's been super busy, crazy, just stick your tongue between your teeth while you're doing your task. It's that simple. I know, it's just nobody pointed this stuff out, right? So we wait for a yawn. And sometimes the yawn takes a while because it depends on how long we've been in a stress state, right? I was just doing this today in my yoga classes, so my yawn can come very quickly. My body's already kind of there, right? But if it's been a long time since you've been super relaxed, it could take 5 minutes of pulling your ear before you get the yawn. But everybody at some point will yawn, just to let you know. So we're gonna let that ear go. Turn your head to that side and check it out. Notice if you have more range, if the movement's smoother in here. Isn't that neat?
Yes.
And I like to teach this so people can share it, right? I explain all these things, then when you go home and you want to share it with somebody or at work or whatever, it's easy. Okay. So the other part was how the shoulders love to do this. Did you feel your head turn more? Yeah, it's pretty neat, huh? So we do one at a time so you can feel the difference. But now that you know, it's okay to do both at the same time. But if you're going to show someone first time, get them to do one at a time. Because when the brain is like, wow, that is different. Oh, you'll remember when your neck's tight. What did Erin say? Oh yeah, pull my earlobe. So So if you wake up, you do that because your neck's really tight, but you still feel, oh, there's just a little bit more over there. You just pull that ear and wait. And you'll yawn, and you might yawn 2 times and 3 times, and it'll just dissolve right out. But we still need to ask ourselves, hey, what is stressing me out? And what can I do about it? So it's not like it makes your life go away. But if we start addressing those things, then we can make changes, right? Okay, now how many people ever notice your shoulders are by your ears? Anybody ever notice that about themselves? What do you think? Maybe? Yes? Yours look low, though, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yours don't look up, they're kind of more chill. Anybody have any
I've
shoulder
done it
tension?
consciously. When someone, like, in a stressful situation, I recognize that I'll do that.
That you'll go up, yeah, but in general, they're down. That's
Yeah.
really nice. So anybody have any shoulder problems? Yeah, because I have a nice shoulder protocol. Would you guys like to learn it? Just in case you ever have an arm shoulder thing. It also prevents carpal tunnel, and it'll erase it if you have it. So what we do is we're going to use the wall. So come up to the wall. So there's all of this wall and the door, and there's that wall right there. So 3 people could go there at least. There's this wall here, but there's a wall right there that someone could use. So you've got to put your bum, your shoulder blades, and your head on the wall. That's our starting point. Bum cheeks, shoulder blades, your head on the wall. Try that out. The heel part doesn't matter so much because some people will feel tippy if they're doing that, but it's mostly the glutes, the shoulder blades, and the head. So just do that for a moment. Arms are just hanging. How does that feel?
Wait, what was, I forgot what, I didn't hear what you said.
Just putting your body up against the wall. It doesn't matter about the lower back, there should be a curve, neck, there should be a curve, but the back of the head, shoulder blades, and bum cheeks, yeah? Shoulder blades, yeah. So does this feel how you normally stand? This is us standing up straight. So the way our nervous system works, the whole thing, is if we're going concave, like we're sitting at a computer chopping carrots, that's most people, right? In the nervous system, this sends the chemicals of depression. It sends the chemicals of I don't want to get out of bed. If you're neutral, you're just neutral, but we're going to play with things that get you into extension, and when we get into extension, it sends the chemicals of joy. Isn't that amazing? So that's where we're going to end up. This is where we're starting, so we're doing a little before. So now you're going to step away from the wall, turn to the right, and put your hand up on the wall. So right hand's going up on the wall. Good. And we want to be far enough away from the wall that your right shoulder is kind of down. It doesn't want to be hiked up, it's kind of down. Fingers are gently spread. Arms up at 12 o'clock to start. Left hand, if you can, goes behind your lower back. And maybe it can, maybe it doesn't. Then, from 12 o'clock, we're going to take the arm to 1 o'clock. So the shoulder girdle stays perpendicular to the wall. Can you do it? Right, go back. Yeah, like that. But try and see if, then walk away from the wall more and give your shoulder and arm more slack. And if it still feels too much, just walk away more. And then at any point you feel a numbness, tingling, or a nerve pain, shake it out. And then try again, but it can be just horizontal. It doesn't have to be very close. Yeah. So maybe you guys heard that too. Like lots of people will get numbness, tingling, or nerve pain. We ideally wouldn't, but because of life and computers or driving or handlebars, it can be that way. So what we're going to do from 1 o'clock is we're going to move to 2 o'clock now. So take your whole arm back an hour. Good. And while we're at 2 o'clock, if you don't have vertigo, start to move your head around a little bit. You might tilt your head to the side. The arm stays at 2 o'clock. Yeah, that's what she said. And then you're just going to move your head around a little bit. Like circles, or you can tuck it forward. The arm stays though. Okay, the 2. Step a little bit away actually. Give yourself a little more space. Come over here. Good. Okay. And put your arm at 2. Does that feel easier? Yeah. Then we're just introducing some movement to the neck. So you might tuck your chin down. You might roll your head to the side. Like if you have places where you know your neck shouldn't turn because you might get dizzy or something, be aware of that. But basically, if we're moving the head slowly, we're starting to open up the fascia a little bit. So the idea, welcome. We're going that way. So we need a wall, maybe this one. Okay. You're going to be going back. So we started at 12, we went to 1, and now we're at 2 o'clock. Open up like the pecs and the fascia. And we're thinking perpendicular shoulder girdle to the wall. Although it'll want to turn in, we stay out. Okay, everybody's breathing, right? Right. Now go to 230, so halfway between 2 and 3. And why we're excited about 230 is it's one of the stronger stretches for the pec muscles. Can anybody feel that? So if you want to do a next part, you take the left hand to your right collarbone and just kind of sweep across, giving like a little massage from the center out towards your shoulder joint. Little massage. And then you go down about an inch and sweep. Now as you go across, right in the apex of your lung is a lung point, like a Chinese acupuncture point. And give it a little rub. Just go check it out and see what it's like. Right there. Does anybody have a sore spot? Usually it's pretty tight. Right there. Do you got a sense of it? If anybody wants me to help you find your lung point, I can help you out.
Sore.
Yeah. So different points on our body, as we were talking about, pull different energy, different emotions. And the lung point, one of the things it could hold is sadness and grief. So lots of times when we have tight body parts or sore body parts, we don't necessarily correlate that pain with emotions, but turns out they're really related. And lately doctors are prescribing antidepressants for chronic pain, and they're working, right? But there's other ways we can do it without the meds. So now we're going to go to 3 o'clock. We were at 2:30. We're going to go to 3, so that's parallel with the floor. Yeah, good. How's it feeling? Oh, that's pretty strong, eh? You got a sore spot there?
Oh, no, it's very here.
Yeah, that's usually from the shoulder being up high. There's a muscle there called the levator scapula. Yeah, so maybe this will help. Yeah, so at 3 o'clock, we're breathing. And 1 out of 10 people, I didn't say this before, but 1 out of 10 people will get a little dizzy doing this. Is that anybody here? You guys okay? Might be? Okay, now we're going to go down to 4 o'clock. So 1 hour lower than horizontal. Fingers are just gently spread. We're breathing. Good. And as you're getting used to this, you can make little adjustments. Like if it feels too strong, you just move a little bit away from the wall. If it doesn't feel strong enough, because now we've just gone below horizontal, the stretch is more in your forearm. Some people will scoot a little closer to the wall. But if you use tools in your life or you're driving a lot, the forearm's usually pretty tight. Start breathing. And remember the head is moving, right? Oh yeah. So you might tilt it to the side. You might tuck the chin in. Any movement at all that's slow is really great. We have 7 main layers to the neck. When you move slowly, you're going to be accessing some of those deeper ones. And the head movement, while the arm is doing this tractioning, the fascia in your thoracic outlet will start to maybe loosen up and open, especially for breathing underneath your collarbones and breathing into those upper ribs. So now the arm's going to go down to 5 o'clock. Just notice if your body wants to scoot closer or move away. And we're breathing. You could be working on that lung point. And if it feels like your lung point's had enough for now, you can put your hand back to the lower back if you want to, if that feels good. This is a little stretch for your deltoid. Yes. Yeah, it's a good thing to make sure you know exactly where. So okay if I touch you? Yeah, right there. And then see if you can put your shoulder down while you're doing this whole thing. Good. Yeah, and the lung point, like you can rub it, but it might be too sore. You could also have the palm of your hand on it and heat will help. Yeah, it's pretty well right there. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Good, now we're going to go down to 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock is parallel, lined up with your thigh. So the palm's still on the wall, the left hand's still on the lower back. And what we do is turn the head over to the left. So your chin's going far left to your left shoulder, tucking in towards your shoulder. Your right hand that's on the wall is just going to slide down the wall a little bit. Just a gentle traction. So you're just sliding your hand down towards the floor. Then we breathe into the right side of the neck. So in behind your ear, into the trapezius, the shoulder joint. Keep your head to the left, but you're upright. So all that happened was your spine's straight. Good. Your head's turned to the left. And the arm does its own thing, but you're not curving to go with it. It stays. You stay. Good, just a couple more rounds of breath here. You guys are doing amazing. next part's fun. So what we're gonna do is bring the head back to center, release both arms, stand there for a moment with your eyes closed, and just notice from the little bit we did, does your right arm feel longer than before? Does it feel a little straighter than before? Yeah. And how many people feel like it might be heavier than before? The heavy is the interesting part. Not everybody's necessarily going to feel it, but show of hands for how many people feel like it's heavier now. Okay. The side that we stretched only, like the right side? No, it's not heavier yet. No worries though. So I'm going to tell you a story. So now turn towards the middle of the room, check your neighbors out here, and see how many people, how it looks with their fascia if the right arm now looks longer on some folks than before. Good. Yeah. We got some nice examples. Good. Good. Okay, so here's the deal. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning. So because the vagal nerves are very surface, how's it feel? Should it feel like it's way easier? Yeah. Yeah. Nice example. Okay. So back to that firewall idea. Whenever we have stress, because the vagal nerves are very surface here, they actually, in a way, feel vulnerable. Our rib cage protects the other ones. Some of us have adipose tissue protecting the other ones, but these ones are very surface. So the firewall of the shoulders coming up, when we walk around like this, is for protection. So what we just did, by taking the time to stretch that out, is we got the shoulder to sink down, right? Like it feels like it's just hanging there, right? Now if you actually feel weight in your arm, your shoulder's being a shoulder and not an earring. If there's no weight in your arm, the trapezius and other muscles are involved in holding it up, right? And so even though you can see the best chiropractor in the world, who happens to be right here, or you could see the best massage therapist, or you could just sit in the sauna or be in the whirlpool forever, if that level of stress in your life, whatever's going on in your life is still there, just a couple hours later, you're gonna be like this again, right? But what I'm helping you to understand is like, okay, why am I like that? And if you do these vagal things and then you go to see your chiropractor, they can adjust you so much easier, right? It's not a tug of war to try and get you to relax. So realize when your arm's heavy like that, you're actually relaxed. If you look in the mirror and your collarbone is horizontal, you're relaxed. And most people have a little bit of a V going on, right? So how high your collarbone's going is kind of like the degrees of how sympathetic you might be. So now we're going to turn around and go do the other arm. And each arm has its own story. We're going to start off at 12 o'clock, so you just spread your fingers, right hand can go back behind you if your right shoulder's okay with that. Good. And remember, give yourself as much space as you need. So we don't want the left shoulder hiked up at all. We want it kind of level with the ground. Now the left arm is going to go back to 11 o'clock. So the fingers stay spread and the arm just travels back. Good. How's that feel? Everything's good? Okay, great. Sometimes, does anybody feel like what we're doing is kind of yucky? Like, yuck. Yeah, so that's good. Because when we're kind of asking the fascia to change, it'll sometimes feel a little like, yuck. And then you're in the right zone. But if you get any kind of numbness or tingling or shooting pain, we actually want to stop or at least give ourselves more space. Because all of those feelings aren't good. It means we're maybe stretching things too quickly and the nerves are getting affected. So now we're going to go to 10 o'clock. The whole arm goes back an hour. When we're getting really good at this, the shoulder girdle stays perpendicular. It's going to want to turn in towards the wall, but really we want it to be at least neutral or turning away from the wall, which could feel like a little too much in the beginning, right? Now, let's move the head. So the knees are unlocked, maybe your tailbone's tucked under. We're just going to slowly move the head around. It's real easy, just noticing. And you could even tilt it to the side and just stay right there. So about every 20 seconds of being in a certain layer, the fascia will start to release. So it doesn't really release when we're just making a movement. You kind of have to hang there a bit, breathe into it. Now we're going to go to 9:30 with the arm, so halfway between 9 and 10. That gets us to those pecs. We might go and explore the lung point on the other side. So you just start off in the middle, where sternum is, sweep across your collarbone. And then we sweep underneath the collarbone. Next one, we sweep a little bit lower than that. And then probably the one after that is what's going to take you over into that lung point. And sometimes it feels like rock hard tight. And sometimes it just feels sore or tender. And sometimes it's just fine. Yeah. Does anybody find this side is more sore than the other side? Yeah, isn't that interesting? And then you can ask yourself, when we were talking about body mapping, left side females, right side males, you know, could you have had a grandmother that passed away, or a friend that isn't well, or things like that, where we might be embodying, you know, our feelings in this lung point where sadness and grief can collect. It's not that we don't have sadness in other places, but this is just one of the main ones. Now the good news is when we clear the lung point and it's kind of free and open, it's a receptacle for joy and inspiration, being inspired. And that's a beautiful feeling, right? So now we're going to go to 9 o'clock. That's pretty well horizontal with the floor. Check that out. Of course, you can keep working on your lung points. And if you're noticing, you know, like, wow, I think I probably have a lot in there. When you go to sleep at night, if it feels good, you can cross your hands and put the palms of your hands over your chest like the Egyptians do. And that helps to balance your lung points. And part of what they were doing there with their hands on their lungs is that inspiration piece. And when the lung meridian is working really well, it takes you to higher levels of consciousness. So if you're kind of like thinking about those things, you can work on the clearing and then the elevating. Now, we're going to scoot down to 8 o'clock. The whole arm goes down to 8. And once we're going below horizontal, you might go a little closer to the wall. Or, if you're driving things and using heavy machinery, you might be moving away from the wall. Just depends. If you're a dental hygienist, you know, using lots of little tools. Good. So yeah, just moving the head slowly, whatever feels good. You can tilt it back. You could be opening and closing the jaw. There's another part to the Vagal Yoga where you open and close your jaw like you're yawning. 8 times. Just think like a lion or a big dog, and you just like yawn in that jaw open. We're going to go for 8. Realizing yawning is the best thing we can do. Exactly. Once you get to 8, I figure I'm doing number 9 there. Then you let your chin, your mandible, go side to side 8 times. Just move your mandible side to side 8 times. You're gonna feel maybe in the TMJ, little crackly things. It's okay. Just move it side to side. So when you're moving the jaw like this, it's moving that trigeminal nerve, it's moving the auditory nerve. Those are signals of safety for your jaw. This is how you release the TMJ and all those things that happen in there.
What's TMJ?
Well, really we call it that, but the TMJ is really your temporomandibular joint. But the syndrome is when it's tight all the time. And sometimes it can be so tight that not only are you in pain, but you really just might need adjustment. Some people can't even open their mouth at some points. It can get so bad. So in the vagal system, now let's go down to 7 o'clock, we consider a jaw like that to be something called the bite reflex. So you know we've all heard of fight and flight, that's really common. Now we talk more about freeze, where you really couldn't do anything at all. There's fawning, where we sort of tell you whatever we think is going to keep us safe. It's not the truth, but it's whatever I need to say so I don't get in trouble or I don't get hurt, right? But there's the bite reflex. So if you see kids at school who are biting, or you might have seniors in a nursing home biting, they're in a vagal state where they feel backed into a corner. And they don't have any of the other resources to help them get out of that corner. So it's like a last ditch. So if you have a child that's biting, realize the child isn't a biter. They'll get labeled. They're really, really scared and they don't have any resources. So if you can build a container of genuine safety for them, not some just little, I'm gonna show you vagal technique, like real genuine safety, they'll stop biting. That's all they need. Same with that senior in the nursing home, they feel unsafe, right? Now we're gonna go down to 6 o'clock, hands in line with the thigh. We're gonna just stand up nice and straight, so there's no leaning anywhere, just a nice tall spine. Turn your head all the way over to your right shoulder if you can. Tuck your chin in towards your shoulder, maybe your right hand's on your lower back if that feels okay. And we're just letting that left hand gently traction down the wall a little bit. Just a little stretch there. While that's happening, we're breathing into the left side of the neck, into the trapezius, into the shoulder, just kind of a nice expansive breath right into the neck. And exhaling through the mouth, I just heard you do that, it's fantastic. So every time we exhale through the mouth, we automatically release tension. It's automatic. It's different than nose breathing. Yeah, just exhale it through your mouth. Good. Just going to go for a couple rounds of breath more. Nice. Really, we could stay here until all of the tension in our thoracic outlet is completely melted away. But there's more to do. So the chin lifts up, the head comes back to center. Stand there for a moment with both arms just hanging. And check it out. Does your left arm now feel longer or straighter? Like it hangs in a more aligned way? Does it feel heavier? Kind of like, yeah. Then turn and face your neighbors and just notice, hey, does anybody have a longer left arm? Do we have a matching set? Hopefully. Isn't that neat? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. And can you feel how this is kind of hanging now? How about you guys? Does it feel like your shoulder is just hanging now? Yeah. So what's important is to take a moment to notice what this feels like and perhaps accept that this could be a new set point maybe. Maybe I could just have relaxed shoulders, right? Now, how many people feel like their arms are heavier now than before? Pretty well, everybody? So that mechanism of them just being heavier is an automatic trapezius stretch. You know what I mean? If it's not holding, it's going to be lengthening. And the weight of your arms, it's kind of like holding weights in a way. It just very, very gently stretches your trapezius. Isn't that nice? So what we're going to do next is go back up against the wall, because we were doing a little before. We're going to just check. This is our halfway point to see if it's easier to stand up. So with the head, the bum cheeks, and the shoulder blades on the wall, does anybody feel like it's easier, right? Okay. How about you guys? Yeah? Okay. You guys want to take it next level? Okay. So what we're going to do, we were talking about the front plane of fascia, the back plane of fascia, because of gravity in life, most people are like this, and we just automatically make depression chemicals. So here's how we turn it around. You're going to take a step away from the wall, and it depends on how long your legs are as to how long that step is. And it's about a foot and a half for most people. And we're gonna do a little back bend. And for most people, this is radical because we just never do it. Well, actually, go back to the wall. Let's do it before. I got a before for you. And this lets you know whether or not you need it, okay? Which is usually everybody. And if you know you have sensitive shoulders and putting your arms up isn't a good idea, be very careful, right? We don't want to hurt anything. So we got the bum cheeks, the shoulder blades, the head on the wall, right? Everything's all lined up. Then you float your arms up and see if they stay parallel straight, and the backs of your hands rest on the wall without any bend in your elbows. So have a little look around. Everybody's a little bit different. It's all okay. Yeah, and then don't push it, okay? We don't want anybody to push anything. Just go to where, yeah, I'm okay with this. I can hang out here for a while. Notice if you have numbness, because things can start getting cut off here. So this is the front plane of your fascia. This is what gets tight just from being in gravity. So if your arms aren't easily on the wall, parallel, with the shoulders down, your head up, and your happy face is on, then you need what we're going to do next, which could be radical. We're going to try it out. The good news is we're going to do it 3 times, because the first time it'll be like, OMG. Okay, so take that foot, step away from the wall. Good. Now the important things are we unlock the knees, so the knees aren't locked. We unlock the hips so you're like in a little squat position. Tuck your tailbone under, and that's going to lengthen your lumbar spine. It's important, so we're not jamming back. Then we lift up, like we're getting as long as we could possibly be, and we're going to reach back. And the pads of your fingers hopefully touch the wall. Maybe the palms of your hands touch the wall. If this is too much for your head, keep your chin tucked in. It's okay. This is all about your spine. Now we stay there for 3 rounds of breath in this back bend. 3 rounds of breath. Yeah, not pants, but actual full rounds of breath. Good. After the 3rd one, lift up. Shake it out, like how we started today. Shake it out. Shake it out. Shake it out. Awesome. Okay, then round 2. So maybe you come a little bit more away from the wall, Helen. Like give yourself a couple more inches away from the wall. Because you're close to the wall when you put your arms back. There was nowhere to go, right? So if you come just a little bit more forward, there's more somewhere to go. Hey, let's check it out. So unlock your knees, unlock your hips, tuck your tailbone under, lengthen through your spine. Arch back. Let's see where we go. Maybe hands are on the wall this time. Head can be back or forward. We're breathing. So 3 longer rounds of breath. Breathing into your chest. Breathing into your belly. Because your nervous system knows what we're doing now. No surprises. We're just arching, breathing, lengthening that whole front line of fascia. After your 3rd exhale, float your way up and let's shake it out. Shake your head, shake your arms, shake your bum, shake your spine. Woo! Anybody starting to feel some more flow going on? You're going to have more lymphatic flow, more nervous system flow. Okay, good news, just 1 more round. For the 2nd round, might have been a little easier than the 1st, right? Okay, so let's do it again. Unlock your knees, unlock your hips, tuck your tailbone under, reach up, lengthen. Gently arch back. See what you got. See if those hands are getting to the wall yet. So in yoga, we walk our hands down the wall, and we walk it back up again. But that's not necessarily the first time. So breathe 3 beautiful, big rounds of breath. Into the heart, into the belly. This is helping us to introduce life to our psoas muscles. Good. Once you've done that 3rd exhale, lift up, shake it all out. Shake your legs, shake your bum. Maybe you want to lean forward, shake it out, whatever feels good. Okay. Wasn't that something? Just like getting hydrated, if you did that every day, a lot of your symptoms would go away. Plus, you'd be standing up straight, which is nice. Okay, now go put your bum cheeks, your shoulder blades, and your head back on the wall, and just notice from the first time you did it, does it feel quite a bit different? Like easy, right? It's easy to stand up straight. Yeah? Isn't that nice? Now let your arms float up, and we'll just do that after test. Is it easier? It might not be perfect, but is it easier? Yeah. Isn't that nice? Yeah. Now let your arms come back down. Come just a little bit away from the wall, but keep that whole idea that your head, shoulder blades, and bum cheeks are all lined up. And then we go to that little finale piece where you have these collarbones. Your arms are just hanging, but what you're doing, I love, talking with my hands, but you're letting your collarbones go a little wide. Just think about widening just them. Just let them go wide, your collarbones. And what that does is it puts you into a little bit of extension. And once we're in extension, we turn on the happy switches. It's automatic. Because this extension in here, biologically, is joy. Like joy is what we were just doing, switching backwards. We won the lottery, my baby's just born, I graduated, whatever it is that brings us joy, universally in all cultures, it's this position, extension. And we get all these really great feeling chemicals. So all you have to do in the mini version is get your collarbones to go wide. And how does that feel? And when you look around, doesn't that look really nice? Like everybody's saying, oh, the clothes look better, but everything inside you works better. All your organs just got a little lift, right? They're not compressed. You got a lift. Your lymph gonna flow better, less compression on your nervous system, less compression on your discs. Like it all makes sense, right? Okay, so now you're gonna walk with that lift back to your chairs with your arms that are just kind of swinging. That was one of no, I put an alarm on because this kind of stuff I put an alarm on because this kind of stuff I talk about like all day long thing. We do retreats often. We just did one on Sunday, like a day retreat. I do week-long retreats. So I can take you through things for a whole week or a month on all of this stuff. So where everyone finishes with the vagal breathing. How many people can't sleep well or sleep through the night, or you're surface sleeping? You have good sleep? Beautiful. Yeah, that's really great. And nice and deep? And you dream? Great. So how many people were, it's these guys over here now. Okay. So you don't sleep very well or surface sleeping? Okay. We have about 15 minutes before they come to clean the room. So I'd like to show you one to help you deep sleep if you're interested, and then one to activate your healing powers. They're both really good. So does everybody know square breathing? And no is a no cancer. Okay. So square breathing, what's really nervous system about that is, whenever we inhale and suspend our inhale, like we're holding it, it kind of jacks up your sympathetic system. So it's going to give you more energy, which is good if you're feeling low especially. When we exhale and suspend the exhalation, it's more going into that parasympathetic relaxation mode. Most people, but not everybody, once you exhale, we're not designed to suspend that. We're designed to inhale again. You exhale, then you inhale. That's the way it usually goes. But when you're super duper 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 relaxed, what will naturally happen in the nervous system is you'll exhale, and you might just coast there for a little while. And then eventually there's another inhale. And then say you're a meditator, you meditate a long time, a lot of years go by. There comes a time where you get so relaxed in your meditation that this suspension of the exhalation, it just goes on, like maybe for minutes or hours even, and the person doesn't take the next breath. They don't need to. The lungs always have at least 30% oxygen in them, so it's not like you're gonna run out and just, fall over from not breathing every 15 seconds. So people who do a lot of yoga or meditate a lot are usually at about a 4 breath per minute place. And when we're that relaxed, the vagal system actually starts activating other aspects of our nervous system. We call those the chakra centers. They're like ganglion plexes, and they all have gifts. So when you're really, really, really relaxed, your gifts open up because the body says, oh, I'm not in danger, or I'm not in survival mode. I could, explore these other aspects, right? It is true, though, that sometimes in those super survival moments, some of those things get activated. People can lift a car off their child or do really amazing things, right? Everybody has those gifts. It's just a matter of whether they're on or not on or things like that. So when we do breath work, what's really cool about the breath work, and box breathing is a really good example of it, is you're using both aspects of the nervous system to bring someone into balance. So it'll center you, it'll help balance you. It's a good thing to start the day with so you don't have a scattered mind going to work or in school or anywhere else. Or maybe you need to center before you go to bed. So what we're going to do is regular box breathing first, and then I'm going to show you the special part after we do some rounds to take you into a really deep place. And actually I'll tell you about the research first. So they had a group of people doing box breathing, and then what they got them to do as they got really good at the box breathing is they kept extending that suspended exhalation. And when they got to 15 seconds, which for a beginner, that's really far away. Usually it's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, right? But once you get to 15, something really magical happens. We have these things in our brain called the amygdala. There's the right one and the left one. They actually have different jobs. Usually if you're watching reels, it'll talk about amygdala like there's only the right one. And its job is to keep us safe. It alerts us about danger. But sometimes it goes in loops. So you're always thinking about the same things and worrying about the same stuff. Anybody ever do that? Of course you do. Okay. Not everybody, but lots of people, right? What about this? What about that? Hypervigilance, right? So what they found with the group is when they could get them to go to 15 seconds, the right amygdala gets the signal biochemically that actually everything's okay because there's more CO2 and there's like a whole mechanism to that. But basically this shuts off its hypervigilance. So it's still there if there's real danger, but it's going to stop with all the worry. And then when it stops all that extra, you go into very deep sleep. So what they found is all of the participants that were able to get to 15 seconds went into 3 hours of like delta sleep. And these are people who just surface sleep all the time. Like what was that? Oh, that was the car, that was the wind, that was the dog, like that sleep. They went really deep, like the kind of deep where you'd have to shake someone to try and wake them up. So the 15 seconds is the key. So how we begin, if you ever go to a yoga class, most teachers will say, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Suspend your exhalation for 4. That's the general thing. Or if you're at a conference, they'll do that too. Here's the deal. If you're high sympathetic, 4 is too long. You're already feeling like you need to do the next thing. That'll create a panic in your system and actually make you more stressed out. And if you're like really relaxed and you're doing 8s or 10s in your practice and the teacher's saying do 4, it's not long enough. And even that will stress you out, right? So how I like to share it is you're going to find your number. And so just give that a little try. Just do a nice little inhale and just count in your head. How long is that? 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 2 seconds. Then hold and just see if it's about the same number. It might be, it might not be. Then we're going to exhale. And how long is that number? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 2? And then when you get to the suspension, so now we've exhaled, we're not going to take another inhale, we're just going to coast. How long does my body want to do that? 1 second, 2 seconds? And then do I feel like I need to inhale again? Or is it going to be 3? Could it be 4? And so what we're going to do, I usually do this with my eyes closed. You could go either way, close or open. But continue with the idea. You're going to inhale, count the number, hold for the same number, exhale for the same number, and then suspend your exhalation for the same number. So that means if your inhale is kind of longer, you might shorten it just a little bit so it'll match closer to the other 3 sides of the box. In my mind's eye, I draw a box. I'm drawing with my finger right now, but inside my head, I draw a box. Sometimes people like to give the box a little color, or they might even give each side of the box a different color. You can kind of play with it, it's fun. The idea is to come to some number that works for all 4 sides of the box and stay with the same number. So we're going to do some rounds of that. Just give it a try. And yes, some people exhale through the mouth. That's extra relaxing. That's really great. Some people do the whole practice with the nose. When we're inhaling and exhaling through the nose, it's more for mental focus. Exhaling and even inhaling through the mouth helps that exchange of emotions so we're not holding on to them. We're kind of exhaling out tension, exhaling out stress, exhaling out sadness, exhaling out whatever it is that the body might have been holding. So breathing through the mouth is very appropriate for these techniques. We're also noticing if our mind stays focused on the task. What researchers have found is the North American mind has an attention span of 3 seconds. So,
Squirrel.
3 seconds. Yeah. So just by agreeing that yes, I'm gonna give this a go, getting all the way around the sides of the box, you are helping the squirrel actually to just calm down. Squirrel's gonna relax. If you're interested in actually getting the squirrel very relaxed, the squirrel is the hypervigilant part, right? That's when we start to increase the suspension of the exhalation. And if this is a beginning practice for you, we don't really expect a lot because we're overriding our nervous system that says, hey, take the next inhale. We're supposed to breathe, right? So sometimes at first it feels strange, for sure. And sometimes for some people it's a little bit scary not to take that next breath. So realize it's 100% normal feeling because we're overriding the programming. But when we override the programming, we can actually give some direction to the nervous system. It's a really incredible thing. finish up this round of the square breathing. Once you finish the suspension of your exhalation, we're going to return to natural breathing. Just whatever your body wants to do. Just let it have a few rounds of natural breathing. And then, when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. And just notice, when you open your eyes, if you can feel or sense that the room, the energy in the room is different. And we feel how it's settled down and it's softer. So that's us, because we're all in training. It's a term, all of our energy is kind of syncing up, and we're all actually calming down. So our brainwave states are matching more now than when we began. So how was the square breath? Was anybody able to stick with it the whole time? In Zen meditation, they say if you can focus for 1 minute, you're doing amazing. If you can keep your focus for 1 minute, you're doing amazing. So anything close to that, you're going to do great. So how about the suspension of the exhalation? Did that feel kind of strange or weird for anyone? Like to just coast there for a moment? So realize that's normal. No need to panic. But your body might feel like it wants to. But as you work with that, if you want to, it gives you also space in your life. Do you ever have something where someone's saying something to you and you're just reacting like right away and there's no gap? So when you practice the suspension of the exhalation in your nervous system, you're building gap time. Oh wow, look at that, they just said that to me. How am I feeling about that? Wow, I'm feeling some heat coming up. I'm having a reaction here. You haven't said a thing yet. And then you have time to respond, which is different than reacting. Reacting usually makes a mess, and responding could de-escalate the situation. So just saying, there's really good reasons to do that, as well as taking us down to those more theta states. The suspended exhalation is key. And plus, say you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep, start working on your suspended exhalation, you'll go back to sleep. Right? Because the hypervigilant mind will stop, but your whole nervous system will relax. So that's what I want to show you for the finale, is the vagal breathing. It's sort of like the ultimate breath for activating your healing. So on a computer, there's a reset button usually, right? Now mine, I have to hold 2 buttons to get mine to shut off and reset. But we have a reset button in our body, and it's called the ganglion of Impar. Does anybody know where that is other than Brian? Yeah, you do? Oh, good for you. Okay, so we have the sacrum, right? The sacrum, you're like, we kind of call it the tailbone, but there's different parts that could all be called tailbones. But the sacrum, it's called sacred, right? Like, there's a big clue just in the name. But in the front of the sacrum, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems have a little crisscross thing going on, and we call it the second chakra. Like, we have names for these things. Now, just below that, there's these tiny little bones called coccyx. It's your tailbone. And in Thunder Bay, we usually fall on them. It's important to get adjusted if you fall on it, because it's meant to have this slight little curve, but sometimes they break or they tip or they get whatever, askew because we fall on them. And right in front of the tip of the tailbone is a little bundle of nerves called the ganglion of Impar. It's got a name. So when you breathe all the way there, magic happens. Your blood pressure will balance, even if it's really high. 25 minutes of that breathing, you'll 100% normal. Your blood sugar balances, your hormones balance. Adrenaline stops. Cortisol levels properly. Isn't that something? Just by breathing there. So where the breath is in someone's body tells us exactly where we're at. So most people are short, shallow breathers, just right up here, and a lot of people aren't breathing. And they even have coined a new term called, everybody knows what sleep apnea is, right? And for periods of time while you're sleeping, you stop breathing and then you carry like this, because the person's now taking another breath. And it could have been a minute even, some people haven't taken a breath. Well, now there's email apnea. They've mapped it. So when people are opening up emails and they're have this maybe a little bit of trepidation about the content, they'll stop breathing. So they're watching people at work not breathing because of all the emails they have to open and people they have to deal with, right? So,
Hello.
hi.
Want to pop in? Our washrooms close in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So I just want to give everybody that heads up.
Yeah. Because we have about 5 minins.
That's about
Yeah.
half of the washrooms close in 2. I
Sure.
have to hold on to that time frame, so I just wanted to let everybody know in case somebody wants to duck out real quick. That's for your
Thanks
reference.
very much.
Thank you.
So if your breath's short and shallow, we know your blood pressure's high, but you're probably gonna be acidic too, you're not alkaline. The lower your breath goes, like an elevator, all those good things happen, and you're more alkaline, so you're not in an environment for bacteria, viruses, and cancer. By breathing low, isn't that something? So what we're gonna do, super easy, your hands can be any way you like, sometimes we put them together to balance your hemispheres, whatever feels good. You're just sitting, and this can be done lying down as well, but sitting up is just a little more special. I close my eyes again because it just helps me to internally focus. But if you like your eyes open, just kind of look down at the carpet so you're not like distracted by things. And notice where your breath is right now. If it was an elevator, are you up in the penthouse? Are you on the first floor? Like, where are you? You know? And what we're up to is just gently breathing. So it's an inhale through the nose. And just notice, hey, can I take my breath into the middle of my lungs? Is that a new place for me, like the heart area? Just kind of breathe in there and notice if your heart kind of feels like it's expanding a little. The exhale, ideally, is out through the mouth with this breath. Because when we exhale out through the mouth, we automatically release tension. And as we're releasing the tension, it was taking up space. So by releasing it, we have more space, and then the breath, our energy, and our awareness can kind of travel lower. So next we might breathe down maybe to the diaphragm level, like the bottoms of the lungs. Notice what that feels like. Sometimes that's new, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. But it's important for the diaphragm to move well. So even just breathing into the diaphragm allows it to have a little stretch, which is nice. And then as you're breathing, maybe we can go down, lower than the diaphragm, and to the belly button. That would be really great. So just be curious. Notice if you can breathe all the way down there. For lots of people, that'll be new. But when we're babies, we automatically get it. You're going to see puppies breathing into their belly. Once you get to the belly button, we're letting the breath go even lower. We're going to notice if we get a sense of that sacrum. Maybe we can get a sense of the pelvic floor. We've got some sit bones sitting on the chair. We're breathing basically between the two sit bones. And the tip of the tailbone, believe it or not, is even meant to wag. And usually it's kind of snug there. There's little ligaments that hold it in place. It'd be the tiniest little wag, but it can move. Part of this movement helps to pump the cerebral spinal fluid back up your spinal cord, back into your brain and your meninges. And in yoga, we call the cerebral spinal fluid Amrita, and it means the fountain of youth or the nectar of life. So the tailbone slightly moving is a big part of how it circulates. So just for the next minute, let's completely focus on the tip of the tailbone, letting the breath travel there. Long, slow, luxurious exhales. Maybe exhaling out through the mouth. And maybe even coasting for a little bit after you exhale before you take that next inhale. to natural breathing, if the breath feels a little lower than where we started, like your elevator has gone down a bit, and you may stay a little lower. And when you're ready, slowly and gently open your eyes. And again, notice the room, the energy. Feel how it's really smooth and grounded, right? Isn't that nice? And then I always ask this, but does anyone feel like they're in a little bit of an altered state right now? And you know what that altered state is? Relaxation. Yeah. We're actually authentically relaxed. Isn't that nice? So the weak part, I just want to leave you with one little weak part. When you breathe like that down to the tip of the tailbone, and we start to move into those theta brainwave states, something really cool happens with your DNA. There's something called a blueprint. It's the original thing that the egg divided with and created you. Our nervous system goes back to the blueprint to look like, okay, what's still in line and what's out of alignment, and it goes and does repair from the blueprint level. You know something? And that's how you get there. To practice it often, it's easy, and then you might even find you're just doing it through the day, breathing that low, and so the body's always going into repair. So thank you very much for your attention. It was a real pleasure. Everybody who got a piece of paper, when you flip it over, there's some sound bath times, because I do sound baths twice a week. There's a little coupon that if you want to come try my Vagal class, which is an hour and a half every Monday night, it's an opportunity to use that coupon and come try class.